game updates, insights, highlights, and everything Liberty Hockey. This is Rock the Rink, where Liberty Hockey lives.
Hey there, friends. Rock the Rink is back. It's been a long off season. It's been hot in Lynchburg, too, lately.
Yeah.
Itching to get back into the ice rink. Oh, man. And finally, that's going to be the case here in a few short weeks. The team is set, ready to go. Tryouts have been completed for all 5 divisions of Liberty Hockey, but today we're going to focus on Men's Division 1. And I'll say this. I think for... Pat, we've been doing this for a long time, right? Like over 10 years, which is crazy to think about, like just being around the program. But the buzz, I would say, coming into this season is higher than normal. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I've talked to Kerr about this, but even Chris Bladen, who works in Club Sports, I was telling him, I was like, I know that 2019-2020 was the highest Liberty had gotten, undefeated at home, 30-plus wins, number 2 in the country before COVID. But I don't think I was excited for the year to start that season like I am this season.
Right.
Right?
I'm with you.
Because,
I think, going into that season, like, you're like, okay, they're going to be good. Like, you're bringing a bunch of good guys back, like Gammer, Ryan. Quinn Ryan was still on that team, right?
Quinn Ryan, Brock Thompson.
That was a really solid team. But you kind of were wondering, is it going to be the same as it was the year before? And then they just took it to another level as a group. But this year, there's the element of returners coming back, but then you also bring in some solid recruits, which we'll touch on here in a little bit. Yeah,
and I think you look at it, too, it's not only a strong group, but it's a group that has tons of national experience now. Yeah. Final Four experience, right? Like, and Kerr, I think you put it so poetic last season, how you saw guys upset after that last game that you didn't expect to be upset, and because they knew they were going to be back next year. But to see how much they cared, that shows a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And to go back to your first point, Rhett, of the excitement, I think anytime you have a Final Four finish and being up, not to open up a wound.
That's true.
There's got to be excitement there. And to your point, Pat, I remember sitting in the bowels of the Marlboro Arena there and just being like, looking at that guy, I'm like, you're really upset. Why? Right? Like, you're coming back next year. So I really think there's a core of guys on this team. Not saying that it's not everybody, but guys who want to win, guys who want to work, guys who want to put in that work. And you combine that with all the experience that we touched on, our placing from last year, our schedule from last year. It's exciting. It's a good time to be a Flame. Yeah,
this is a team that's made the Final Fours 2 of the last 3 years. Their record last year, 18-14. They went 13-7 at home, 5-7 on the road. That's the one area I think you're going to have to clean up going into this season in order to win. And we're talking about it now, national championship, right? Like, gone is like, I hope we make the Final Four. No, we're talking national championship this year, not to put pressure on the guys and the team. But I think that is a reasonable expectation to make that game. Like, you were in the conversation now of being, hey, Liberty is a national championship contender. Can they bring home their first ACHA title? But like I said, you're going to have to improve on the road. That is a key, because you're never going to play an ACHA tournament at home. No, and you need to go. You're going to have to go. One of these tough road weekends, wherever it may be. And again, we got the schedule coming up here, and we can talk about it. Maybe Adrian in October, or even Ohio is a tough enough challenge in itself. But you're going to need to sweep one of those weekend series. Unfortunately, I'd say it's another really strong schedule. It's great, and more and more we'll touch on here in a sec. But like, you're going to go first semester to Minot, and you're also going to go first semester to Adrian. So your really big, tough road challenges are first semester. But I'd love to see them come away with more than just going 2-2 in those. I'd love to see them come away 3-1.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And like, that was the point I was also thinking too. Like, if you want to see something change this season, it's got to be that. Like, because I'll be honest, like, you start the year off pretty strong, but you need to find a way. If you're able to not only win one game, first off, at Minot, because you've never won at Minot.
Yeah, right.
So that's a big thing. So you just beat the defending champs on their own turf, but also then if you're able to repeat what you did last year, beating Adrian, which was the first time you won at Adrian, but if you can win again and potentially sweep them at home, because that would just be huge for the sake of confidence.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. That belief would go a long way throughout the rest of the year, especially some of the new cats coming in. As we continue on, new leadership this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, Colin Baird has graduated and moved on, and Matt Bartell named the captain of the Flames.
Yeah, I think it was an obvious choice that he was going to be the C, big number 91, and I think he will fit into the role well, being an assistant captain over the last few years. Now in his final season, he'll wear the C, and then he has 3 new assistant captains with him too, which he helped play a part in picking, and Nate Albers, DJ Schwenke, and Brett Gammer. So this is a good leadership group. A lot of, you could say, hardworking guys in this group, and a bunch of grinders too. So you kind of like the mix-up and change that is coming with this group.
Kurt, take us behind the curtain in the sense of you're with these guys multiple times a week, working out, and you get to see the kind of leader Matt Bartell is. Is he that loud, rah guy? Is he the quiet, lead by example? What is he as a leader?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So first, I love the choice of Matt Bartell as a captain. He's putting his time on the ice, off the ice, everywhere, all around. And then when you're asking, what kind of leader is he, it just is what it is. He's not in my opinion, I've seen him in times, and Pat, you would have as well in the locker room, but in the weight room, he's not going to be the, clap him up, super loud, rah type. But what you are going to get out of him is that two-way centerman. You're going to get the guy who's on your first power play unit and your first penalty kill unit, your workhorse, and somebody that will lead from the front, grab the troops, inspire them, pull them on, bring them on, right? And he does have that element of when he talks, it's like, whoa, okay, all right, hey, I get it. I understand it. Let's kind of get going here, right? And videos that you've seen or you've shot, Pat, in locker room, pregame, and just different areas that I get to see him lead in the weight room or on the ice.
I do think for college athletics, it's good to have a captain, a leader, as a guy who's even keel. And that's what I get out of Bartell because, you got a lot of emotions going, especially in hockey. And, Liberty's had penalty problems in the past. and if you can get a guy like Bartell that kind of keeps the demeanor of the team at that pulse at a constant level, don't get too high or not too low, I think that could go a long way. But at the same time, you do need that player that's going to grab somebody by the back of the neck at a certain point and get on their case about playing better or effort. Who would you say out of the alternates is that guy?
I would say there's a good chance it could be DJ Schwenke.
Yeah, that's the name that popped out to me too.
Yeah.
Intensity at all times and everything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think last couple of years he's also been named when they do team awards, hardest worker.
Yeah,
and it was the off season. He's just grinding. It's like he lived at the rink in between already having a hard major too, being an engineer major too, right? So that's what you want to see in the guy that is coming in wearing the A. And then also another guy, Nate Albers. I saw him log a lot of minutes in the off season as well, trying to get stronger, trying to get better, and trying to improve. And then we all know Brett Gammer unfortunately got hurt in the semifinal game. Cool. And he's just been trying to rehab so he can get the strength, because I think that was probably last year was probably one of the first years he dealt with multiple injuries, and it took him out for a long time, and he knows his impact was definitely missed being out there, so he's doing everything he can to stay healthy this year, especially now being a leader too. So
that's one aspect. I'd love to see Brett Gammer healthy for a full year. And I don't know if we've seen that, because there's a play going back to last season, I remember, and it was early on. It might have even been against NC State, first game of the year. Gammer's healthy, raring to go. They pass it to him on the goal line in the corner, and he walks out in front, takes contact, and just goes around the goaltender and buries. He's not an offensive machine. We all know that. But what he does extremely well, and that's two-way play once again. But I do think there's another level of offense that he could bring if he just could manage to stay healthy for a season. I don't put that on him because I know he's a hard worker. It's just kind of the bad bounces that come in the game. It just happens sometimes. But love to see Brett to be able to just put a full 30-game slate together this year, especially his senior season, and finish strong.
Yeah, I know he's working towards it. He's grinding in the weight room every day towards the health and wellness side of the performance. So should be good. Should be a good year.
I think too that's we've talked about hard work a lot with each member of this group. I think that's
true.
part of why they were all named leaders too, right? Like they have a somewhat of a pulse inside the room and a voice, but also they're all hard workers, right? Like and good two-way players too. So like I think so I think that's a big factor too, and I think that's going to help with the identity of the team. Kind of, I know we joke on the broadcast about this, Rhett, but like kind of your style, like that blue collar hockey. I think we'll see a lot more of that this year with not only with the leadership, but then even the identity of this team taking shape.
Love it. Can't wait. September 15th cannot come fast enough. All right, everybody loves the shiny new toys, right? So hey, new kids coming into the program. I'm going to let you guys speak to this a little bit more. You've gotten more eyes on them than I have. But a guy that was, there's some hype. You could tell the Liberty program wanted to bring this kid in just for his offensive ability. That's Ryan Finch.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were very excited. Saw him in tryout. Skate only got to watch only one. Unfortunately, couldn't come to as many as well. But like obviously, he looked in good form. Played with Fultz and Bartel in the game I watched, and honestly, synced up very well with them. Like the three of them looked like they had chemistry early on, and I think that's going to be the key, not just with him, but when you get the other guys mixed in, because you had some guys not in the tryout skate, obviously, like you have every year, and trying to just figure out what the new lines are going to look like and some changes. But Ryan Finch fit in very well, taking kind of, I guess you could say, that role where Josh Fricks was last season. Another guy, Mason Smith, really loved his play. I remember when hearing about him coming down, I got excited because I was like, well, this guy comes from playing good level hockey and he wants to make an impact right away. Like even not just him, but talking to the other guys and hearing their demeanor, like there's a maturity with this group, right? Like, and they all kind of know a little bit of their role too. Another guy I interviewed was Owen Legowski. He didn't come in. He kind of knew his role. He's like, nope, my job is to not let people score. He's like, I'm a stay-home defenseman. Like that's where I kind of go to the office, and that's where I do business. So like I like that kind of mindset already for him coming in. And then Kevin Byte and Marty Manos, they're already coming in as great two-way defensemen too. So like I think this is a really good set of 5 guys that are coming to complement the group already.
Yeah, let's talk about the additions defensively. Like when you look at it, you lose Colin Bear, that's a big loss, and literally and figuratively.
Yeah. So covers a lot of ice.
Yeah, right. I think that's one area where Flames fans are probably like, are we going to be okay on the back end this season? Like, obviously, there's Hunter Verostic back there. He can cover a multitude of sins. Like, he can.
Yeah.
But new guys coming in again, these aren't like 18-year-olds. These are first-year players that have a little bit more life experience than your typical 18-year-old in terms of, they've played junior hockey. They've been in some tough games. How are you guys overall feeling about this defensive unit?
Yeah, it's a great question. So as Pat was mentioning the new guys coming on, the forwards, I just kept thinking of like, man, we're going to be very solid defensively as well. So Kevin Byte coming in as a transfer, he's already had that college hockey experience. He has a background, knows Jason Fultz. So it's like one of those new guys who's not a new guy, right? So it's going to mesh in really well. And then my opinion for Marty is he just kind of has that like Vitali and Dima mindset.
Okay.
You guys could back to are your boys coming over of just, I am going to work so hard and I don't need to talk a ton about it.
Okay.
Right? Just every time he comes into the weight room, just has his routine. You don't need to address anything with him. You don't need to talk about anything with him. He just knows how to do his job, which is super exciting. And then when we were watching Prospects Camp, what stood out to me for Owen was his communication. Right, he's a big guy out there, so he could see over some helmets out there, but just pointing things out on the ice. Right, coming back, being a communicator, being a quarterback for things. And my note I had for him was in that defensive end, just don't mess up. Right, like that's kind of his mindset with it. And I think that's going to be huge. We have the talent on the front side. We have guys that could score. If we could just limit opportunities for the other team, I think we're going to be extremely successful. especially defensively.
How do you see this like back end shaking out, Pat? Like, do you have pairings in your mind that you see? Like, these are 3 new bodies.
Yeah,
like, it's 50%.
I don't have any pairings thought of yet. I have the one thing I will say, like Kurt talked about too. Even going back, like with Kevin Byte, he knows Jason Fope. Martin, he also knows Marty. Right, so that was a big thing, and then Marty knows a few of the guys already coming in. So like kind of like the same thing that we've seen the last couple of years. This is a group of guys that have all known each other throughout their junior careers, whether they've played against each other, played with each other. So they all have a bit of an idea. But as far as how things are going to shake up defensively when it comes to the pairings, I'm not sure yet, because I feel like a lot of guys, even last season, I'll use Nate Cox as an example, took a jump in their game. Right, like Nate Cox became kind of a huge, a great stay-at-home defenseman. Him and Kovic, right? Like, so, like, you think, do you want to keep them together the way they were playing towards the end of the year, or do you want to change things up and trying to figure out who's going to play with Laz this year as well? I know the coaches probably have an idea, and they'll probably test a few things out, especially in that NC State game, just to see what it looks like. So.
It's going to be fun to watch. Like, it's going to be fun to see how these guys integrate in. But one thing I thought was telling, and Pat, it was just you texting me, and I didn't even ask, but one of the main points that you told me about this group was just how they fit into the culture immediately and seamlessly. And you don't always get that. And I think that's a huge thing going forward, especially with a veteran team like Liberty has. Sometimes fresh blood that can make an impact, and we're expecting multiple names on this list of 5 freshmen, first-year players coming in to make an impact. It can rock the boat a little bit, right? But it seems like that's not, like, hopefully not going to be the case. It does not appear to be that way or head in that direction.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for them, too, because everyone, when you're the new guy on the team, one, you might want to try to do too much. Yeah. Like, don't try. Hopefully they're getting talked to, like, hey, just go out there. Yeah, play your game. It'll come to you. Also, too, trying to get that first goal, right? Like, trying to just set down, let them know, like, hey, you're going to get it eventually. Just give it some time.
Right.
Like, and continue to play your game. Because, like, honestly, some of them, like Colin Baird, obviously, his first year, he had put a fair amount of pucks in the back of the net. But you think about the last 2 full seasons he played, he was an assist machine out there, right? Like, he was great at just finding the pass to the guy that scored, or he was the second assist, right? So, like, and I think he was fine with that role because he knew that, well, we're still getting goals in the back of the net. That's all that matters. So, like, hopefully that becomes also part of the mindset, too, with the guys. Like, everybody wants to score 10 to 20 goals every year, right? Yeah. But, like, someone also has to make the play so those goals can go back in. So hopefully those guys are okay with that complimentary game too, and not, as we said, not trying to do too much to start.
And to not give too much away, those are some of the conversations happening behind the closed doors with the coaching staff when they're thinking pairings of, okay, if the puck goes off of this guy's stick, is it going to somebody who could bring it back to them, and so on and so forth. So, very astute there, Pat, because those are the conversations going down for sure.
Yeah, that'll be good. All right, you can obviously check out the schedule at the Liberty Flames hockey website and go through it all. We'll highlight a couple of games. I think the first one, obviously, September 15th, NC State come here. It's going to be a packed atmosphere. The next weekend, September 22nd, first midnight game of the year, and it's against Minot State. So you're bringing in a stud, and it's the first midnight game is always the craziest, most packed out, fun game of the season.
Right.
It is it has the potential on this list, honestly, and it's sad it's game 2 of the year to be the best game of the season.
Yeah, like especially at home, right? Like, and so at least in the fall semester. So, like, that's the big thing. You basically have a game to figure out how things are going with NC State, because you don't even play a series. You play one game, then you're right back at it versus the defending champs.
Big boys are coming in.
Yeah, and it's the team that also took you out of nationals, right? So, like, that's what you really want, I think, for them. That's one of those games. Kind of like last year when Flames were waiting for UNLV at nationals, right? And I thought Kirk did a good job of saying, like, hey, if we don't beat Pitt, it don't matter that UNLV won their game, guys. Like, so we need to stop worrying about them. And I think that's kind of, and I thought about this game too. Like, hey, we're going to get our first crack at the defending champs in our own barn. Let's make sure to make it count. and then let's go up there and do something we haven't done before, which is win at Minot too. So like if you're able to win that series early, we talked about the belief, like that'll send a lot of belief
for sure
to start the year.
I'll say this: one game I wish I could attend on the road, September 30th at Minot State. 4th time you've played these guys in a row. That's just going to be a bloodbath.
Oh yeah,
it's like a mini playoff series to start off the year. Sneaky good series at home. I'd say Maryville, October 20th and 21st. Solid team, fun to watch. Then you always have good old rival Stony Brook coming into town early November. Second, Midnight Mayhem, December 1st versus Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I think that's another interesting matchup, another one of those games where played this team at Nationals, and they're looking now for some payback too, trying to be able to at least split the series at home with you, or at least get, especially I think in that Midnight Mayhem, because that's the game where everybody
just
win.
wants to down you, right? Send the crowd home sad. That's exactly what they want. January 19th, when games kick off, second semester, Syracuse, Midnight Mayhem again. That's the third and final one of the season. Adrian coming into town, February 2nd and 3rd, great series. And then one of my favorite teams, honestly, to watch last year, Niagara.
Yeah, they had a good year last year, too. I think Coach Marin was very excited what he was able to do with this group. I'm very curious to see how they are, because that's a team, too, that didn't have a lot of these teams only had good recruiting classes. Like you saw stuff about Minot State, their recruiting class, Ohio's recruiting class, Adrian. Niagara's a team not only probably had a good recruiting class, but they didn't lose a lot of guys.
Right.
Yeah, and they played Liberty in 2 very tight games last season.
Yeah.
So that will be a very interesting season, especially as it builds towards the almost the end of the year, and really when you need to be playing your best.
Right. They'll be fine-tuned. Yeah, that's a team small but fast, had some playmakers. They gain a couple more recruits and maybe a little bit of size. Like, watch out. You're talking about a real good dark horse in the ACHA this season. Mid-March, 7th through the 12th, national championships located in St. Louis this year.
Yeah, I think also one of the series, too, kind of didn't to Ohio. Like, that's I didn't realize how much of a rivalry that's become, but I feel like since COVID, right? When you had to play them at 9 times in a season, it's just been blowing. Like, and now this year we're gonna play them 6, 2 here, 3 here, and then 3 there. So like that's just gonna be an interesting series too. Like the flames between the Bobcats. So that's another one got to be looking forward to.
How do you guys feel about the 1-1 February 22nd, 24? Play there, play here.
I don't mind in the sense that it does give you the experience you need being tired.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, okay, we play, we travel, and then we play again. And not that simulates nationals play in the sense that you're not traveling in between, but I think the fatigue factor will be there on a similar level. Like, oh, okay, we just like we're not in our bed that night, or we're not in the hotel room, we're traveling. Like there's elements there I like to get you prepared for nationals.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I also like it too, just in case, let's say Liberty, which right now they'll probably start the year off in the top 4. It's going to be very similar to how their opening series could go too. You'll play a game, then you got to wait a day, and then you got to play another tough team. So this is a factor. 2 back-to-back games versus arguably another team that should be in the top 4 too towards the close of the season.
Was that a wink-wink scheduling situation between Ohio and Liberty? Hey, in case you're in top 4, we're top 4.
I would give Kirk a lot of credit, and this is an aspect of coaching that never gets spoken about, but scheduling matters. Yeah, it really does. And it's like you could just go and put like names on a list, right? But there's an art to it. And I think he is really in the last 2 or 3 years started to master that art. Yeah. Like when you see, it'd be interesting to have him on here, and I don't know if he'd want to share. He may not, just because there are, secrets that you want to keep. But it'd be interesting even behind closed doors to talk to him about like, hey, why did you do this? And hear his thought process behind it, because he does have a knack for it. Like I'll give him credit there. All right, we've talked about the whole schedule, but hey, let's take the first 7 games, okay? NC State through October 7th versus Delaware. What is it that you want to see from this group as they grow in the early stages, first quarter of the season?
Yeah, I think you want to see consistency early.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you want to see them have the ability to play a full 60, because I feel like we talked about that a lot last year, especially the second half. And I think, honestly, that 4-game slate versus Minot State, you really do want to, you're hoping that they win that series.
Yeah.
Like, I think that will be, you don't want to say it early, but that's going to shape a lot of how the year potentially will unfold in the first semester. Like, and if they're able to go 3-1 or even 4-0 somehow, like, that would be unreal for them to start the year.
Yeah,
and
huge.
Like we said, just the confidence factor and the belief, and even just the tape that they'll be able to get to see, this is what we do when we do well. This is the success we have when we play in like this, or when we do this type of play. So, like, I think that's the biggest thing that you want to see. And you get, as you said, in the first 7, 5 of those games are at home, and you have a good chance to come out on top and have a solid winning record to start the year with those games.
When I look at that first kind of quarter, as you said there, Rhett, and I had these Minot games highlighted in case this question was brought up. For me, from my perspective, I don't want to see us try to peak for these games. I want to see a few mistakes get made. I want to see us be a little bit tired, but I don't want to have it be this is our all or nothing at the beginning of the year. If we come away 1-3 or 3-1, I don't want too much emotion coming out of that, because it's only our 2nd through 5th game of the year. It's a long season from September 22nd all the way until March. So I just want to see us play them as, the tough games that they're going to be, but not have this big mystique or aura around it where, it's going to determine outcomes for the future. Let's say we sweep. Who cares? Right?
Yeah, I get you.
That's the 2nd through 5th game of the year. Who cares if we go and win all those games? It's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I hope we do. But at the same time, it's not going to be the major determining factor like games in the second semester will be.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing I'd love to see is that I know the forwards are going to be able to put pucks in the back of the net.
Right.
Like, that's no doubter. Liberty's never had a problem in that area that I can think of, except for maybe 1 year, right? They can score. I really would love to see the back end gel together and just be a nasty group of 6 to play against.
Yeah.
Like, I know Laz Cable's going to score goals. That's in his DNA. All right. And you've got a couple really good puck movers back there. But the new guys coming in, along with Kovac and Cox, I just want to see you make life miserable on the opposition. And if you take a couple roughing minors just to prove a point through the opening 6 games and word gets around like, oh, man, it is not fun to play against that Liberty defensive unit, that would make me happy. Just give a couple cross checks here. Tattoo a couple guys with Bauer on the back, So I think that would be big. All right, again, first game coming up September 15th versus NC State. Always a great game, Give NC State coaching staff a lot of credit. It's a classy game typically, a great experience for the young guys on NC State, and a great job of getting the feet wet for the Liberty faithful. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Can't wait. Hard to believe it's just around the corner. August is ending. Cooler weather is upon us, guys. Yes. I cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. That game at 7 p.m. and then following week, Minot State. We'll be back next week. We've got a member of Men's Division I coming in. We won't say who. You've got to tune in to see who that is. All right, little tease there. But looking forward to bringing it. Also, looking forward to bringing it to you on video throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah,
that's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, you know what? One thing we can touch on real quick. The game day experience is changing at Liberty a little bit throughout the year. We have a new addition to the broadcast. That is Intermission Desk, highlighted by my boy Patty Strong over here. He's going to be, you're going to be shifting roles a little bit. You'll be still in the booth with me doing color for parts of the season, but then you'll be our expert analyst as well at the desk for other games on the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see how many people I can offend this year. I mean, now that it's going to be worse because we're on tape now, so they got the size now down. They're like, all right, Kerr and Rhett maybe not go after, but that other guy.
I know, right? We got your back. No, it'll be good. Yeah, so tune in. It's gonna be a good broadcast this year. Looking forward to it. It's crazy when you look at the numbers throughout the season. How many people tune into Liberty hockey? It's up there.
I believe it.
It is.
I believe it.
It is well loved throughout the land. All right, hey, next week we'll be back. We'll have a member of Men's Division 1 to chat with. Not going to tell you the name. You got to tune in to see that. But we're going to get more guests on the show this year. It'll be a lot of fun. And we're going to keep bringing it to you through video. So that'll be good, too.
Maybe a different location next week.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we'll get into our new digs. I like that. All right. Hey, it's been Rock the Rink. We'll talk to you next week, everyone.